Alright, welcome to Berkshire Gamers United very first video review, and today we are reviewing Batman Arkham City. I have myself, Josh, aka Damn Animal, as well as my friend here, John, aka Aeonic Storm. Say hi, John.
Up,
Alright,
going on,
I'm quite well. How about yourself?
doing wonderfully.
Yeah, we've been playing a little bit of League as well today and getting our asses kicked. We're quite happy
That's
about that.
You're getting your ass kicked. I'm doing fine.
Right. But that's besides the point. We're here to talk about Batman Arkham City. In this game, really, Bruce Wayne, he's running for political office. You know, he's outside of Arkham City, which is within Gotham. It's basically a prison city within Gotham. And he gets taken captive and put into jail. And from there, we meet Doctor Strange, who is running Arkham City, and he's captured Bruce Wayne, who knows he's Batman, and is trying to get this master plan called Protocol 10 off the ground. And basically, the story is you're trying to prevent that from happening. Kind of a little mini twist thrown into that, you find out very early is, Joker is somehow, you feel like Joker's involved, and you find him, and Joker's dying. He poisons you as well, so you're both dying, and you got to deal with that and try to find a cure as you're moving through the city. Again, I haven't beaten the game yet. John has, so I'm going to try to be as spoiler-free as possible. So basically, that's the gist of the game. So let's move on to how does the game look graphically. I'll say I think it looks really, really good considering what it is. Again, it's not the most hyper-realistic game I've ever seen, but I think that's okay because, I mean, it's a comic book game. For me, it feels, when I'm playing, I feel like I am Batman. I feel like I am in Arkham City, and the overall art direction of it, really, it's gritty, it's dark. I really feel like I'm immersed into the game. How about, what do you think?
Yeah. As far as the city itself feels expansive. With the skyline and watching helicopters, and you can see buildings off in the distance and everything like that. And when you're on the ground, though you're not paying attention to the ground as much as you're just trying to get your objectives done. There's a lot of detail that went into it, but it's not something that's going to you're walking across the ground and you see a bunch of rats run from you, or stuff like that. It's basically it's a huge it's a pretty large area for you to go around and be Batman. So I mean, you're not going to find finite details, but there is a lot of detail that make the scene believable.
Yeah, and I think I know what you mean is like when you're walking through the city, there's I mean stuff as simple as fire escapes and
Yeah.
scrap metal lying around and stuff like that and bricks and buildings. I mean you might not necessarily pay attention to it as you're going by, but you certainly it adds that overall aesthetic feel. And adds to the real immersion of the city. So moving on, let's talk a little more about the actual gameplay, and let's start with combat. First of all, I'd like to separate it. There's kind of two schools of combat in this game. There's the straight on fighting a bunch of dudes at once, and then there's the kind of more stealthy. You got to pick off guys one at a time. I guess I find the combat very satisfying. It's very fun. It seems very simplistic, like I said when you first start out, but it's actually pretty. It has a lot of depth to it. And
Yeah.
again, it's very satisfying, especially when you finish the fight and it does that kind of slow mo final
Yeah.
move. It's like he just really does he knees a guy in the jaw, or he just slams a guy down, or something awesome. But the slow mo and just like, oh yeah, I just kicked all those guys' asses, and you really feel it.
Yeah.
And talk about more like the stealthy part, like we were saying before. I really like sitting up on a gargoyle, then popping down and grabbing a guy and hanging him upside down, and then everyone's like,
Yeah.
"Oh shit, what happened to him?" And you swing around the room to the other side and pick off the other guy, and you're constantly moving. Again, you're only fighting one guy at a time, but you're still
Yeah.
constantly moving around the room doing stuff, which is really fun, and I get a lot of satisfaction from that in a different level especially when you do it well and you don't get caught by anyone. It's like, oh man, I just totally did that without them catching me. I'm such a badass right now. They didn't even know what was coming. You really do, and you feel like, man, I'm a badass Batman, which is it really, I love it. It's great.
And if you've played the first one, you're gonna like the combat in the second one. However, I saw in the second one that it was easy to transition from stealth to combat and then back again. If you were able to pick off half of the guys in the room, leave them hanging from a gargoyle or whatever, and the other half they all have guns, but there's only like three of them, and you get them together using one of your gadgets. Drop down on them, and you're in combat. You're using your batarang to knock guns out of their hands, and you're fighting them. And then if you feel like things are getting too rough, you're zipping out of there, and it's back to stealth again. And so I really thought that the difference between the two games, you won't really see a difference, except you'll see it more refined in.
My opinion, as far as the gadgets, I don't use them so much in combat, so I don't think they're critical to combat, and that's probably why they don't give you a set amount of them. They're more for
Well,
a little bit. They're useful and helpful, but I haven't come to a point where I really need to use them that much. I guess I think they're more for progressing through the buildings or through the city or whatever. You need to use your gadgets to open doors to figure out these little puzzles and stuff like that. And that's really where I use them for. I mean, I don't hardly use them in combat at all. So let's talk about a little bit, about the side quests and puzzles and stuff. I feel like the puzzles so far, some of them are pretty easy, some of them have been challenging, but
I
fair. I
think it's
haven't
more
felt like,
interesting than
yeah,
anything
I
else.
guess
It's
not difficult. I
they're
haven't run into anything
fun.
impossible yet.
Yeah, they're fun because they're interesting. It's not like shit, another puzzle. I don't feel like doing this, or this easy ass puzzle. It's more like, oh, what they do here? What kind of things do they do here? Okay, obviously I'm going to use a gadget for this. So as far as the side quests are concerned, I mean, they might as well be a part of the main storyline. However, and you can quote me on this, you can beat the game without doing very many of them all the way through. And
So so yeah, let's talk about what we think overall of the game. You can go
Mhm.
first, and then I'll give my little verdict at the end, I guess.
I really thought that the game was really well done. It really brought you into the story. The combat was solid. The stealth was solid. There's some things I could have liked more, like more fear, more feeling like a badass. Other than that, the storyline is great. The ending is crazy. If you played the ending to the first game, that ending was epic and crazy. This ending is pretty epic and crazy. You're gonna see Batman use some tools you've never seen him use before. Um, but overall, I feel this game is a good buy for someone who is the completionist that's going to play every ounce of this game and will enjoy coming back to it later and playing it over again.
Yeah. I guess I really really enjoyed this game. I haven't played this type of style action game in a really long time. I'm usually much more of an RPG type guy. I'll play a lot of like Dragon Age or stuff like that, or a lot of MMOs. But it happened to be just a friend of mine at work recommended this for me, and he said, "Oh man, you'll like this. You should pick it up, dude." So I went on a limb, got it, and I'm really, really enjoying it. Like you said, the combat's really solid. I get a lot of satisfaction out of the combat. I really like the stealthy stuff. It reminds me of like Metal Gear Solid, that I used to play a lot when I was a little younger, and I love the stealth aspect of it. Like I said, picking off a guy, flying back up into the rafters, and getting the other guy. It's a lot of fun. So I get a different satisfaction in
Oh
that
yeah.
way, and it really does. Like I said, it really drags you into the story and immerses you, and you like I said, when you're going around that city, you feel like you are Batman going around that city, flying around and gliding and using your hook and all that stuff. And when you're fighting as Batman, you feel like a badass Batman kicking everybody's ass. It's really cool. So yeah, that is our Batman review. Any last words, John?
No, I pretty much covered everything. What kind of game are we going to be looking to reviewing next? You think maybe Battlefield 3 or Skyrim? Because I know for sure I want us to do something on Skyrim.
Oh, absolutely. I know Battlefield 3 is coming out next week. I've got it on pre-order. You're picking it up
Monday,
Monday
midnight.
night, midnight. I'm
Yeah, oh
probably gonna
yeah.
get it after work on Tuesday. Who knows? Maybe I'll have to stay up late on Monday and just not sleep. I don't know. Skyrim's coming out. I may do one on Dark Souls here. I picked that up the other day as well. I'm gonna start playing on
I'll
that.
help you with that one. I'll be the devil's advocate on that one. I'm
Right. I really
very
want to get into
angry
that, and
gamer.
I want to get pretty deep into that game first before I do any type of review on that. So maybe we'll talk about that next.
All
But
right.
so cool. Thank you very much, John, for joining me and throwing your
Yep.
opinion in there. And this has been a Berkshire Gamers United review for Batman at Arkham City. And we'll talk to you soon. See you again. Thanks for coming. Bye.
Thanks, guys.